in contracts. Let's get this straight. It's a company with 4 employees, headquartered in the basement of a tiny cottage. They got IT contracts even though they admit they do no IT work. $250 million. WTF.
Here, here.
I'm going to ask, we are dangerously close to crossing the line.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Ehren right here, Question Period Canada. I've got a couple of questions for you. Do you trust Trudeau anymore? This guy is losing it. We've got a lot of clips. It's not just Trudeau, it's his whole corrupt cabinet. We're going to be examining them all, watching how they dodge and deflect, distract, divide Canadians. It is disgusting what is happening with this corrupt Liberal NDP coalition. Jagmeet and a bunch of his warriors are in there too. We're going to take a look at them all. This is why our country is falling apart. No one has anywhere to live. They can't afford groceries. Inflation is already... Buying a house? Imagine what the kids are doing out there. Struggling, living in basements of their parents' houses. It's got to go. This Liberal NDP, Trudeau-led coalition government with Jagmeet. It's got to go. We're going to take a look at them all. These guys are sinister. We're going to try to keep it light and have some fun while we watch them do what they do, which is just messing up our country and messing with our minds. Misinformation, never telling the truth, being very dishonest. It doesn't sound like fun, but it's going to be fun. Let's take a go. Start off with Trudeau.
For the incompetence and ego of one man, he is not worth the cost or the corruption. Will he call a carbon tax election so Canadians to decide?
Mr. Speaker, notice how desperate he is to try and find any excuse he can to justify their voting against Ukraine. Suddenly, he's not talking about the price on pollution that Ukraine put in itself years ago. He's not using that as an excuse, even though that was all we heard as a justification for why they voted against Ukraine, voted against Ukrainian Canadians, voted against the reconstruction of Ukraine that we are committed to through a free trade agreement. He stood in this House and voted against Ukraine and is now trying to do anything he can to hide from it. He let down Ukraine, and that showed who he is.
He's just a madman and a dork, a total goof, loser. But this guy is going to try to be a dictator in Canada. It feels like it. Like, watch what he's doing.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Now the legislature in Newfoundland and Labrador has acknowledged that this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. After 8 years, they passed a motion supported by the Liberal Premier and personal friend of the Prime Minister to oppose the April 1st tax hike. They must have heard from the parliamentary budget officer that the cost to Newfoundlanders of the carbon tax this year will be $1,874. $1,874 for the average Newfoundland and Labrador family. What will their rebate be?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the average net benefit per household in Newfoundland and Labrador is $303 a year. That's the money that they pocket with our price on pollution and the Canada carbon rebate checks that go into households across the province. The province is open to creating its own price on pollution, its own plan to fight climate change. As long as it's as strong as the federal backstop, they're welcome to do that if they want to do it a different way. But for the meantime, we're going to both fight climate change and deliver more money to the families in Newfoundland and Labrador.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So here are the facts from the parliamentary budget officer. They're directly from him. The cost to the average Newfoundland family is $1,874. The rebate is $1,497 for a net cost of $377. A net loss of $377.
I challenge any Liberal voter that thinks they're a loyal Liberal voter to watch any of this and then think they're going to vote Liberal. They just won't be able to. Man, there's only so many options in Canada Pierre Poilievre seems like a guy. I'm not a conservative by heart, but man, we do need a change. So to you Liberal voters that are so dedicated, go hug a tree or care about your fellow Canadians.
Across the country. And an election on the price on pollution, we had 3, Mr. Speaker, and we won them all.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
One more.
Wow. Then he shouldn't be afraid to have one more. This is a Prime Minister who has doubled housing costs. He sent 2 million people lining up at food banks, 8,000 joining a Facebook group learning how they can eat a meal out of a dumpster, and now his best solution is to hike the tax on their heat, on their homes, on their fuel, on their food. If he really believes in it, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, we've heard time and time again over these past many months the Leader of the Opposition talk about how Canada is broken. Well, Mr. Speaker, we are focused on supporting Canadians with things like childcare and dental care and a plan to fight climate change that puts more money in the pockets out of 8 of 10 Canadian families right across the country. That is the approach that is delivering for Canadians, and we've still got more work to do, and we're going to continue keep doing it to deliver for Canadians every single day we're in this House.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Finance Minister claimed that the carbon tax was revenue neutral, that it gave back, that the government didn't keep a single penny. Well, it turns out they keep hundreds of billions of pennies. They've collected so far $20.7 billion and only paid back $18.6 billion. In other words, they profited by over $2 billion by pillaging the pockets of Canadians. When will the Canadian people get their $2 billion back? And if he's so sure about taking it away, why doesn't he call an election to defend it?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader is now complaining about $2 billion that he would never give to Canadian businesses, would never give to Canadians, because he would scrap the Canada carbon rebate. We are actually delivering money across the country to communities, to individuals, to small businesses, to Indigenous communities, to fight climate change and help afford their groceries. He wants to eliminate the carbon rebate. He wants to eliminate the plan to fight climate change. He has no plan for the future of the economy.
Exactly. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
One more.
Wow. Then he shouldn't be afraid to have one more.
This is why he's afraid to not have another election, because his cabinet is corrupt. It's obvious. They're lying to your face. Again, to the Liberals that are, feel that you're loyal voters that way, you're not Liberal behind these guys. Something else is going on. It's not about left and right. I'm in between. But these guys, Trudeau's corrupt cabinet is corrupt. Watch them. You won't trust them after this.
Mr. Speaker, I have a lot of respect for the former Conservative leader, and he is a proud MP from the province of Saskatchewan, a province that is proud of its Ukrainian-Canadian population. Now, last week, the current Conservative leader said in a radio interview, he implied strongly he would cut all economic aid for Ukraine. This is a chance for the MP from Saskatchewan to say, does he support that shameful position? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Why doesn't the Prime Minister show some compassion and spike the hike?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to hear the member opposite talk about the rebate, because that is what it is. This is returning money to Canadians. 8 out of 10 families are better off. It is revenue neutral for the government.
I'd like to commend the member for being able to say with a straight face. Because the fact is, Mr. Speaker, we gave members of the Canadian Armed Forces a very significant raise just last year. And when it came before this House to vote for the money for that raise, every single Conservative on that side of the House voted against it. Shame. Mr. Speaker, perhaps they should scrap the crap.
Shame.
I'm going to ask members to be very judicious in their use of words, and to making sure, and I'll ask the Honourable Minister to be very judicious in his choice of words. The Honourable Member from Peterborough, Kawartha.
Mr. Speaker, that's exactly the lack of classy response I would expect from a Liberal member.
To put food on the table, and Liberals are giving well-connected consultants multi-millions at $2,600 per hour.
Unbelievable.
Simple question: do Liberals believe that $2,600 per hour was a reasonable rate?
Wasn't reasonable. The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, as my colleague knows very well, there are internal investigations being conducted into all these matters. We welcome the report of the Auditor General. The RCMP is investigating some elements of this matter. And Mr. Speaker, if at any time people have misused taxpayers' money or contractors have claimed taxpayers' money for work they didn't complete, of course the government will demand refunds as is appropriate.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will continue. We are absolutely driven to impart upon the people of Canada cold, hard cash in their pockets. That is what that is what this rebate will do. This is not something that's made up. This is not something that's trivial. This is something that Canadians feel in their bank accounts and in their wallets and in their pockets 4 times a year. This is real cash, Mr. Speaker. We will not deny to the people of Canada. Thank you.
If I didn't know any better, I would think the Liberals believe their own story, but they're full of it, guys. They're full of it.
Will the Prime Minister vote today for peace?
The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with my honourable colleague. The violence must stop. Hostages must be released. Humanitarian aid must go into Gaza. We need to make sure that Israeli and Palestinian civilians are protected. And that is the position of the government. We will be there to make sure that there is long-term peace in the region, and of course to make sure that there is to make sure that the Jewish community and the Muslim community and all communities across the country are well secured and can live peacefully here as well at home.
That chick is very attractive, but lame as hell, man. This is not good for our nation.
So, colleagues, of course, questions can be asked of the government regarding administrative issues of the government, and of course to committee chairs. It's important for Canadians to understand, though, that when questions are asked of committee chairs, it has to be regarding stuff that has committee business. That's before the committee right now. And so in consultation, we realize that that isn't the issue that is here before. So I see that the Honourable Minister for Housing is rising on his feet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And look, what the honourable member is actually suggesting is false. We have real-world data to demonstrate in provinces where the system actually applies, families receive hundreds of dollars more each year than they pay in fuel charges. The Conservatives pretend to care about affordability, yet they oppose measures to put more money in the pockets of families. They pretend to care about affordability, but they oppose measures that protect seniors' pensions. They pretend to care about affordability, but they vote against measures to remove the interest on Canada's student loans. Mr. Speaker, we will do everything we can to make life more affordable, including putting more money in the pockets of families while we fight climate change at the same time.
We just try to keep it fun here. These Liberals are making it very difficult, but it goes downhill. It's still kind of fun to watch. We've got to watch these liberals where they're taking us, I guess, like, or plan to. Next election, guys, next election.
When it comes to promises, if I were the Conservative Party, I'd just be slightly ashamed of mentioning promises because they promised in 2021 the creation of a carbon tax system. The Conservative Party said they would implement standards on clean fuel. What are they doing? Well, they've just changed their minds. They change minds as much as they change underwear. They don't believe in climate change. They have no plan for the economy, no plan for jobs, no plans for affordability on this side of the House. We will work to fight against climate change, to fight to create jobs and to help Canadians.
Even defend what I said because he knows the report he's citing is 2 years old, it's out of date, and it's false. Now, here is Liberal math. The average person in Ontario, including Dufferin Caledon, will pay $1,674 of carbon tax, and they will get a rebate, a fake rebate of $1,047. Even Liberals can do the math. That costs $674. That has consequences. After 8 years of this anti-Liberal Prime Minister, he's not worth the cost. So they can spike the hike, axe the tax, and call a carbon tax election.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Facts are simple, Mr. Speaker. The people in that member's riding and the people all across Ontario will be receiving a check for $280 on April 15th. These people want to vote against that. What they've also voted against in rural areas of the province of Ontario is a 20% top-up for rural residents in the province of Ontario. They want to take that money away, will disproportionately hurt the lower income people in their riding. This member needs to check his math and vote for the people that he represents.
Hear, hear.
It is about the golden rule, but like, people need to be informed. Here's the information. Trudeau, judge for yourself, whatever. Look at his cabinet, watch how they talk to you, watch how they talk to the other people. They have no self-respect, let alone respect you. So what do you think? Those are a bunch of corrupt, lying politicians, right? Like, there's nothing else going on here. There's not some total facade that we can't capture. Like, they think they're lying to Canadians. Canadians are smarter than that. I believe the people at the grocery store are smarter than the people in the House of Commons. They're just connected. That's how it goes. I don't mean to be down on our government. Like, things are hopefully going to change here in a couple of months. The next election for sure. We'll have to wait and see. My name's Ehren. This is Question Period Canada. We cover every daily broadcast of the question periods from the House of Commons. It's fun, amazing community, fun chat room. And we make all these other videos, some fun shorts too. Check those out. Yeah. Like, subscribe, get notified. That's important. You'll find out about the live stuff, and that's the best way to be informed. Ehren, Question Period Canada. Like, subscribe, comment. I love the comments, guys. I try to get back to you. We're gone for this one. We're out. Thanks for watching. Catch you next video.